Yesterday we were looking at the common source amplifier, and where we had left was basically the fact that if I want to be able to eliminate the two power supplies that we had. Here you had two power supplies, you had the VGG power supply and the VDD power supply. You want to eliminate one of them, so we thought of this voltage divider kind of configuration. However, in this voltage divider configuration, what we found was that if you were to connect a source which has some resistance Rs, then that Rs actually appears across Rb in the bias circuit. And so depending on the value of Rs, this transistor can be biased at different points. And if you took an ideal situation where Rs was 0, then this transistor actually is dead, right, because your Vg is 0. Okay. So Shivang had this other idea where you connect the source, instead of connecting it here, right, where what I have drawn in red, you connect it in between the resistor point and the transistor gate. Okay. So this in principle will work. However, the difficulty is that for this you need a source whose both ends are accessible. Most practical sources you would have only one end accessible, the other end is by default assumed to be ground. So that's why this connection also has limited application. All right. Now let's go back to this particular connection, and then we will analyze and see how we can rectify this problem. Okay. Okay. So we have this as the circuit, right? I have that as a circuit, correct? And that was your VDD. Okay, this I call as circuit A3. All right. Now, can everyone see this? Okay. Now, what was the source of the problem? The source of the problem was that you had current flowing in like this, right? Bias current. And that bias current was basically dividing here and going in like that and going in like that. Sorry. Yes. It was dividing like that and here. Okay. Now I want to eliminate that current. So what do you think I can do to eliminate that current? So consider this particular situation. Say right, let's just look at this circuit. I have an RA and I have an RB. Okay, let me call VGS1, say for example, as equal to RB by RA plus RB times VDD. Okay. Now let me say I do the following connection. I have the source here and I have the source resistance. What I do now is I take this value of VGS1 and connect it as a battery here. I call this is the value of VG. Okay. Now what do you think would be the current through this? What would this current be? Does everyone see it is 0? How do you justify that the current is 0? Yes. So take it this way. Assume this current is 0. See if everything is consistent. If this current was 0, correct? Then going from ground to this point, what would the voltage be? 0 plus VGS1. And because current here is 0, you can effectively use this potential divider formula to what the voltage at this point would be. And the voltage is also VGS1. So everything is consistent. Okay. So what I have basically said is, if you include a battery here, right? If you include a battery, of value VGS1 to make current, to make bias current through bias equal to 0. Okay, has this solved a problem? Why? Huh? Why? You draw what would be the incremental circuit of this? The incremental circuit for this, that VS1 will just drop out, right? So the small signal value will definitely propagate. We have not done anything to the incremental circuit, right? But why did we start this story from like what we had last? Two sources. Now we have gone back to two sources, right? So did we really achieve anything? So now you are back to two sources. So is there any solution at all? There must be, right? Otherwise we won't be discussing. Okay. So now let's look at this. What is an ideal battery? If I call this battery as some V star, okay, what is its property? What is the property of a battery? The battery effectively is that irrespective of what is the time through the device, right, the voltage will always be constant. So if I were to, what should I plot on the horizontal axis? I, right, and this would be V, and this value is going to be V star, right? Now assume I have the following situation. Assume I have, for example, a capacitor. Assume I have a capacitor, infinite capacity. C is infinity. Okay, and I charged it such the voltage is V, such that voltage V star. All right. So somehow I have given you this big fat capacitor which has been charged, some charge, such that the voltage across it is V star. What do you expect to be its IV characteristic? Did you say it's the same? C is infinity. How does resistance come into the picture? Impedance. So C is infinite. Yeah, don't don't go to that way of analyzing it. It's a big fat capacitor with infinite capacity, right? Which means even if you take out a little bit of charge, basically you're not going to change anything, because the charge on this Q is equal to E, which is infinity, times V star. Correct? I have told you this is a very large, it's not infinite, I mean a very large capacitor. So if you have a very large capacitor, right, then to have this V star, you're going to have a lot of charge sitting on it. Even if I take out a little bit of charge, which is what a current is to do, you're not going to affect things too much. Correct? So for all practical purposes, this also behaves like that. Is that right? Does everyone get me? Okay, so what do you think you can do with that? So I can basically take this circuit and replace the battery with a nice big fat capacitor. Again, big fat capacitor will, value of large will be determined by some other relative constants in this problem, correct? So we'll work what is large later on. For now, let's assume it's a large capacitor. Okay, so now this becomes your you don't need to think about how this works. Okay, this is the full circuit. How's the incremental circuit going to look? The incremental circuit will look like, so what we have to remove from mental circuit? Just this VDD. Okay, will this ring? You have made it a capacitor, correct? So what's that capacitor? It will be, but that's why I told you that you're going to get that capacitor as a battery. Okay, so just this particular application of that capacitor as a battery. So effectively, which one are we drawing? Sorry, I want to draw the. Okay, I think sorry. So I want to look at the bias circuit and the incremental circuit. So we'll first bias circuit. So in the bias circuit, how are things going to? How will the bias circuit look? In the bias circuit, you have the capacitor, right? So what will happen here? And this is VD. And the question which Ankit was, how do you get this capacitor charged? What will happen here in the circuit? Is this DC? So for all practical purposes, capacitor is removed DC analysis, correct? That's one way of looking at it. This is your bias circuit. Another way of looking at it is that you're going to have DC current. Initially, when this capacitor has zero charge, current will flow in like that. It will keep flowing till the capacitor charged, and that capacitor charging will have some time constant. So we'll choose the capacitor such that all of things will work. So then once the capacitor gets charged, you use this idea that charge capacitor is effectively a battery, and so there's no current going to flow. So you can look at it as both these things. One fact that it's a capacitor, the bias circuit involves only D, hence you are looking at an impedance 1 by j omega 0, so impedance is infinite, so effectively the capacitor is not there. So current is 0. That's one way of analyzing this circuit. Another way of analyzing the circuit is say that okay, there's this capacitance, I'm going to have current. Initially the current will flow through that capacitor, but it's going to get charged, and it will get charged to this value VGS1, correct? It will get charged to VGS1, and once it gets charged to VGS1, no more current will flow into, right? So two ways looking at the same thing. All right. And how will the small signal circuit look? How will the small signal circuit look? So the small signal circuit will look, you have that, this will go to ground, right? That go to ground, and then both these resistances, I have not drawn it this way so far, but you get this, that RA goes to ground, RB also goes to ground, so I can draw it as an RA plus RB combination at the input, right? And what more? RS, and I have source. Huh? Yes. Question? Do you notice what is everyone comfortable with what I did? Let's see. Okay. Now this position RB. Is it comfortable with the way I have drawn RB? Right? Because in the incremental circuit you do not have this VDD. So the other end of, sorry, I should not worry about R. It's not. So is everyone comfortable with RA? Right? So in the incremental circuit not have this VDD. So basically RA will go to ground. Right? So instead of connecting it there, I just connect here. All right. So this should work, right? This should work. So this basically solved the problem of your input. Why? Which one? Because it helps you in analysis. I think I should spend a minute on this, because yesterday I got a question on that. When I am looking at this incremental circuit like this, what do I effectively mean? This is my RD. What do I mean when I draw it like this? So whatever I drawn inside that box, what should I replace that with? What should I replace the contents of that box with? So let me draw. So I did not draw this. I should have possibly, but I thought you guys will get it. Okay. So I have RS here, and I have this RA parallel RB. Okay. Then what I replace everything in this box by? Switch? No. Exactly. Exactly. Resistor? Conductor? The GM part, right? Because if you look back, the reason I'm repeating this many times, it should go in, right? Look back here. When you had a circuit which had nonlinear elements, you analyze the bias point assuming the nonlinearity being present, and then you analyze the incremental circuit assuming that the nonlinearity has been linearized. So if you take a MOSFET and linearize it in saturation region, what will you will get this Y matrix, right? And what does this Y correspond to? It corresponds to just a current source on the output, right? So thing should be replaced by, what should replace by? Right? So that is the same, and then that is also connected ground, and this side I have current source. What's the value of that current source? GM VGS. Where is your VGS? This is your VGS, correct? And then, and where does that also come? Effectively connect to ground. And where am I taking output? That is the out, right? So to finish that, correct? So that green box is this green box. Now, now do you understand why I am drawing it this way as RA parallel RB? right? Because effectively all those things are going to ground, and you have to analyze this small signal circuit. Now, can you tell me what the value of V out is for this problem? First, what should we write down first? So we should get VGSs in terms of this. What is that? What's that? RA parallel RB divided by RS RA parallel RB whole to VS. Okay. Now, before we go there, okay, this is VGS. This expression for VGS is correct. Okay. Now, in this circuit, go back here, right? Is there any restriction on RA and RB? What? So, the ratio of RA divided by RA plus RB gives you the bias value, right? This ratio, RB by RA plus RB gives you the bias value. But is there any restriction on the absolute value of RA and RB? So, I can use 1K and get a reduction of half. I can use 1 meg and also get a reduction of half. Correct? So, that in mind. Why? Ideally, what would you want VGS to be equal to? Okay, let me write it in a locative way and then you will get this answer. So, let me this as 1 divided by RS by RA plus RB plus what? 1 times V. Okay. Written this way, can you tell me something? Huh? When will it be approximately? So, how should you design your RA and RB? So, you design your RB so that your RA parallel RB is greater than RS. Right? You can always do this because you are interested in the ratio of RB divided by RA plus RB. You can use the absolute values to be. Does not trouble you. Correct? Okay. And so that gives you VGS in terms of VS. In this limit of RA parallel RB much greater than RS, what would VGS be? Your VGS is effectively VS, which is a good thing, right? And now, what about my output? What would V out be? GM VGS into RD. Is this correct? Ankit, is this? Why? Why? Correct? Because your current flowing that way. Right? So remember that minus sign is very important. Alright. So this is essentially equal to minus GM RD times VS in this approximation of RA parallel RB greater than when RA parallel RB is greater than RS. Right? Okay. So what gain? So gain, voltage gain AV, what is that? Minus GM R. Alright? Okay. So is this the full amplifier or should be something more? If I ask you such a question, what will be the answer? Okay. Answer is not yet ready. Okay. So now we are in A4. Okay. And why am I come this? I'll come to you in a minute. All right. Now I had this RD. Okay. Look at this circuit. What is the current flowing through RD? What is the current flowing RD? Just tell me in symbols. there is a bias current flowing, which is your ID1 plus this circuit, remember. So ID1 plus small. Correct. So what is your ID? What is ID1? Okay. You remember we started off by looking at thing, right? And then what did I say? I said this was DS, this was your ID, correct? And I biased the circuit here, and I said this corresponds to some ID1 comma VDS1. Okay, so that is your bias point. So don't worry about what ID1 is. I have chosen that ID1, and then you have this small ID, which is incremental quantity. Okay, so can you point out any problem here? See the fact that you have DC current to the load. So for example, if you have the load like a speaker, right, and some speakers later are basically coils. So if you pump a lot of DC current through your coil, what will happen? Joule heating, that's secondary. From your transformer, what will if you put DC current through a core? Think and tell. So let me try and remember my magnetics, right? I have my, what do I have here? So I am just considering a coil. So what is my right hand, right? This is H, right? This is B, right? And what do materials look like? Depending on material, you have some various characteristics. So I will not worry about that. I will just draw it some flat region, some other region, something here. And what is this H? It's proportional to your current, Ni, remember, right? Correct? So this is proportional to total current, right? So you can also look at this in terms of a bias and an incremental. So basically, if you have a DC current flowing through the load, what will happen to your operating point? It will shift and it will go here. If you have a higher operating point, it will go into this region. So your device may not work as a speaker. All right. So what I am saying is, many loads do not like DC current. So how do you solve this? What do you do to solve this? Now you should be able to guess this. Yes, right? So how would you connect the capacitor? Let me motivate it this way first. Let me say that I have another resistor, okay? Let me call that my R. So that is going to be my load. Okay, I am no longer going to make this RD a load. And what do I want? In the bias kit, my RL should not appear. Just like RS, I did not want to appear in the bias circuit. So what should I do? So, but how did you motivate capacitor? So, assume that, when this RL is far away, assume this voltage is some VDS1, right? VDS1 is that VDS1. Now, if you don't want any bias current to flow through this load, what should I do? You basically connect with a battery of VDS1. If you have a battery of VDS1, what is the current through? No current will flow that. Right? What current is that? I am talking of bias. So I should let me remove this. Right? I am talking of the bias circuit. So in the bias circuit I will not have it, and in the bias circuit, what about the resistor? This also is not there, right? Yeah, sorry, I keep getting confused. Sorry. Right. In the bias circuit, I have, but actually it's not there. Effectively, so this is not full circuit. Okay. So bear with me, keep jumping bias, incremental, and I can write down which circuit it is, but I think from the flow you should find out which one it is, right? So though this is, I am drawing the bias circuit, right? Even though I have drawn this RS and capacitor, we have discussed that it is no longer going to be of importance. No longer going to be of importance because we have chosen this capacitor such that no current flows through this, right? Okay. So now similarly in this bias circuit, the current through this RL is going to be 0 because I chosen this battery to be VDS1. Okay, I don't like battery, so what do I do? Right? So this basic gives you the full circuit, right? Or rather, what I'll do is just that I just block I'm doing. Okay. Drawing that block over here, correct, and I will replace that with a, what should I replace with? Capacitor. Okay, all with me so far? Okay, so now I say come to the end of the design or basic understanding of the common source amplifier. So can you help me draw the common source amplifier? I'm going to draw the full circuit of the common source amplifier. What will I have in the middle? I have my MOS device, I have my RD here, I have battery VDD, this goes down to ground, right? Then I have one capacitor C infinity, and then I have my R. Where do I take put? Across all. And then what's on the side? On the input side, I have my bias, I have my voltage divider, that's my RA, that's my RB, and then that is VS. Okay. Again, this capacitor on the output can be understood to do two things. One is you can think of it as operating in the frequency domain. In the frequency domain, if it's a very large capacitor, what is it? It will basically just cut out your DC. It will give you only the small signal. So your assumption is the small signal is not at DC, correct? So that's why I have written here V0. Right? So one way of thinking of it is that these capacitors, what do these capacitors has? So this is my full common source amplifier. But not for now. Okay. And these capacitor infinity are called decoupling capacitors. Right? Because basically what it's allowing you to do, to take the small signal Vs and add it to the bias circuit. Similarly, that full circuit is the C infinite right hand side is allowing you to remove the bias component and take out only the small signal component. So it's decoupling the bias circuit from your small signal circuit. Right? Everyone with me on that? I hope so. Yes. In the previous case, here. Oh well, you possibly want your operating point to be here because you want your inductor to work as a linear device, right? So in most of these applications, I understand that you would want your operating point to be origin. This is what you will want. But if you have a DC flowing through the load, it will shift to this green dot or this other green dot. So that's not what you want. Okay, most of your magnetic devices you would like it to bias at 0. Okay, so just to finish this, what should we do? We should take this. You cannot do this anyway. All right. So this is the full circuit, right? And this would be the incremental circuit. Is there anything I have to include in this incremental circuit that I have missed? Right? In the incremental circuit, what will happen to this R? But it will appear, right? This one I copy the previous circuit which did not have the RL and C infinity on the right hand side. So I will have my R. Right? Everyone with me? All right. So what would your gain come now? It will be minus GM into R parallel R. Do you get that? Okay. And how does the bias circuit for this look? So this is the full circuit. Right? This is incremental. And how bias look? Okay, help me. Okay, Pratyush, how does the bias circuit look? What should I remove? Tell me and I'll keep deleting stuff. Look at what I put it and tell me. What is the bias circuit corresponding to? Yes, I should remove. Then? Yeah, okay. So in principle you can keep the C infinities, but if you think about how I motivated the existence of those C infinities, they were basically voltage sources. Correct? And those voltage sources were such that no current flew through both these resistors. So basically you can remove all of. And that's wanted, right? You wanted your bias circuit to be this. So understand how this becomes a bias circuit. Rajat, did you get that? Because no current is flowing through those branches, right? Let me just do that again. So in principle for the bias circuit, what you should do is only remove the base, right? That is your exact bucket. However, what I have told you is that these capacitors have been designed such that bias current through this 0 and bias through this is 0. That's how we design these capacitors, right? So you can think of these capacitors as two things. One is it's just filtering out the DC, or you can think of them as capacitors which have got charged to the DC value and hence not allowing any DC current to flow. It's essentially that the filter actually works, right? It's another way of looking at it. So because these things have 0 current flowing through them, you can effectively forget about the branches, right? You can remove those two branches. And so what will you have left? You will have only that. Right? Do you all understand how we got to the bias circuit? So now everyone understands how to get to the common source amplifier. Okay. So many books will this, and then we'll go back and then analyze why this circuit works. We have done it the other way around. What we did was to start from what we want, and then we built it up step by step. This is a slower process of covering the material, but I think it is more instructive because it tells you what the various components in these things exist, what and why they exist. So I want you to go back, listen to this stuff again. Okay, I have the videos, so you can go back, listen to this, and if you have any doubts, clarify them. Okay, I'll start the next thing, then we can close. Okay, so now that we have done the common source amplifier, or at least introduced it to all of you, we then begin now the analysis of common source amplifier. And this will take quite some of our effort, because what we will try and motivate is that once we analyze one particular amplifier in detail, other amplifiers can be done as similar to this, right? We don't need to go through the other amplifiers in detail. So the first thing that we will look for the amplifier is a quantity called as the first thing that I want to look for, the quantity called as the swing limit. Basically, the swing limit refers to the large input signal I can give to the amplifier and still ensure that the amplifier works. Okay, can I give it? So say I have an amplifier, say I have chosen my amplifier with gain, say my gain is 100. Okay, so let my input Vs be some Va sin omega t. What would my V out be? Is this expression correct for the common amplifier? What is wrong? Huh? It's always negative, so I have to put that minus 100. So this would be minus 100 Va sin omega t. Right? Now, okay, now suppose my Va was say 1 millivolts. Let me call that quantity, okay, as OA, amplitude of VA, so amplitude of VO. Maybe I can call this as VSA. That's the amplitude of VS. Okay. So, what would VOA be? Or let's assume magnitude of VOA. Would that be 100 volts? Okay. If I go to this would be 1 volt. So can I keep going indefinitely? Why? Huh? Because there is something called the swing limit, but we understand why that is the case. Correct? So let's see why that is the case. So okay, and I have my transistor. Now my notation. Okay, I am going to look at total voltage. So if I put total voltage, what my nomenclature? No, small v, capital G, capital S, right? Small v, capital D, capital S. Currents, small I, capital, right? Do you remember the nomenclature? Any quantity, if I say, correct, capital X is identical to capital P, capital X plus P, small x. That is your increment, that is your bias, that is total. Correct? We have done this earlier, but to get everybody on the same page. So let me now look at this same thing and we write this as I capital D. No. Okay. Let me call that capital D and let me call this as I capital D. And I don't want this to be here. Okay. So before we go there, we should do something else.